Happy Pride! Happy Pride to all. Thank you very much for joining me. Actually, let me back up and make sure. Yes, you should be hearing me just peachy. Who knows anymore? So, reminder right at the front end, I will try and keep up with the chat. I make no promises and will only guarantee that I see your comment or question, doing it as a super chat, which will also get you a little heart from me. A little gay heart. So, hope everybody's doing well. Hope everyone's had a nice Pride so far. I've done most of my Pride-related stuff that I have planned for the month. I performed in a Pride burlesque show on Saturday. I hosted and I co-hosted, and I did a number. Tara Staller, happy Pride, first in. Yes, you got there first. How about an ace heart? I don't have anything on hand, Jason, but I can send that energy to you regardless. Dharma, remaining as a member, 30 months, 0 regrets, happy Pride. Thank you, Dharma. That is greatly appreciated. Been buried under books for a while. I'm still buried under my audiobook edit, which I haven't touched in a little bit because I haven't had time. That's bothering me. Hey. Books. Got books to read, got books to review, got an audiobook to edit. Do I think Ace was the first gay companion? I mean, depends on how you want to figure it. Arguably, it could have been Romana by default, just given the fluid gender nature of being a Time Lord. I think Ace was probably the first, at least some of the people involved intended her to be gay companion. I think she can get that credit. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. My shoulder is sore. It has been for a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Finished my rewatch of Justice League Unlimited. I have only seen like a little bit of the front end of that one. I saw all of the original Justice League cartoon. Unlimited I only did a little of. Not because like I fell off it or anything, but you know, life took over and I never circled back to it. Should he feel like the Doctor for you yet? Feels like shorter seasons making it much harder. Yeah, I would say that for me, he's felt pretty doctorish from the beginning. I'd say that the end of Dot and Bubble was kind of the clincher. But I do get what you mean. We're not getting a lot of just, you know, getting to know the Doctor on a normal day, which for me is kind of the best way to get to know any given Doctor. If you were in an elevator with RTD, what would be your pitch for a Doctor Who story? That's a great question, Benner. I don't have one. Yeah. I'm a real bad person to ask those kind of questions because, like, this is the exact same reason I don't write and never have written fan fiction is, like, trying to think, ooh, here's what I would do. But, like, the more pragmatic part of my brain just goes, why are you trying to waste your creative energies on this? You have original stuff you could do that might actually become a thing. What are you doing? Stop. And so I don't really have one off the top of my head. Isn't Jimmy the first gay companion? I'd call that a stretch. Dr. Kanata. I'd say that there's certainly some scenes where there's like a little bit of an energy between him and the Doctor, and that largely was on purpose because they thought it was funny. But I'd still call that a little bit of a stretch. I just started reading a historical novel that has a gender nonconforming gay wizard as a major character. Bold choice by the author, given his books are aimed at the same audience as something like Master and Commander. Well, we'll see how that goes over then. Any advice on getting back into creative pursuits, mainly screenwriting and filmmaking, after not having properly tried my hand at it for the past 5 years? Carve out time. Like set a chunk of time, ideally each day, but at least set a regular chunk of time where that is the thing that you're doing. And then whatever you do in that time has to be towards that thing. Whether it is working on the script, whether it is editing, like carve out the time. Which is something that I do well in terms of what I do for my job, and I have not been doing well in terms of a lot of my other stuff. So I know you're coming up to the story that was so bad that Robert Holmes didn't write for the show again until Davison's final story. Oh, you're talking about over on the break room of Geeks. Yeah, I've already like that video actually is going to go into early access in the Patreon after we wrap up here, and that'll go live on Friday in the break room. Have you seen the official trailer for Beetlejuice 2? Are you going to do a reaction video for it? I mean, is there a new... Like, I remember there being one, like, a week or so ago. Has there been a new one since then? Because if it's that one, no, I was not intending to do a reaction. Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. No, I opted not to do a reaction for two reasons. I was just busy. I had a lot of stuff on, but more to the point, Warner Brothers, which used to be one of the chill studios, has become one of the dickhead studios, and I guarantee you they would have claimed it. So I didn't feel like making money for them. Have you seen the first 2 seasons of Torchwood? Rogue reminded me a lot of episode Captain Jack Harkness. I have not rewatched any of Torchwood other than Children of Earth in a very long time, mostly because I didn't like most of it. So I have seen it. I don't really remember that episode especially. In one tabletop RPG I played, we created an ex-punk rocker that is described as weapons grade gender fluid. I like that. Will you be doing a trailer reaction for Identity? No, Jen, because there's an inherent conflict of interest there. Because A, I've read the script, and B, I'm in it. So I'm not sure. I'm not. I'm not sure that'll, like, I'm not going to spoil any parts of it by talking about what I know, but, like, I also don't like pretending it would feel really weird to do a trailer reaction knowing what I know about that thing, but having to pretend that I don't know a bunch of it just so that I'm not dropping spoilers. It's a cute idea. It wouldn't super work. Just with the nature of my brain and how much I already know about the dang thing. Since you've seen both the teaser and the trailer for Beetlejuice 2, any new thoughts? Not really. I mean, I like that Tim Burton seems to have stuck to his guns in terms of only using effects techniques that would have been available at the time he did the first one. Power to him for keeping to that. What's my favorite extinct creature from the Cenozoic era? I don't know what to do with that question. That's a very cute question. I do not remember prehistoric eras very well. It has a foreword where it explains it was common for non-gender confirmation men in ancient Ireland to take that role. I thought is cute. You think having the truth on your side will help? Well, 255. Like I have glanced at the questions that are waiting in the Discord. You're kind of double dipping a little bit right now. The TTRPG is Lancer, by the way. It's a mech RPG where you can highly customize your ride. Well, geez, wouldn't be much of a mech thing if you couldn't customize the heck out of it. All the main reviewers of Doctor are saying Rogue is just like Captain Jack. Many theorize he will be back and be a replacement for Jack, as there is almost zero chance Jack will ever be back. Well, I kind of put my thoughts on that in my review, which I get why people make the comparison. I actually think there's some pretty key distinctions in terms of the personality of the character. So yeah, to be and see, like that's what I'd be trying to avoid. Although, like, this isn't a spoiler. My part is not evident in the trailer. So although you do see my name, like at the very end where they've got the full credits, and my name's on there right before John Delancey. Oh, that's surreal. Once you finish the Armageddon Factor, will you do a separate key to time overview wrap up? No, Aongus, I won't. Just because there isn't really anything to say about it overall. Like the connective tissue is very thin, and I'm going to address the Guardian stuff in that review for the Armageddon Factor. So there really isn't much left for me to talk about at that point. Do we need a pronunciation guide for y'all? I missed that. Custom X. Nice context wrench. I like that. Just a second, folks. All right, just had to take care of something real quick. After watching the Identities trailer, I somehow am recalling all the evil/jerk-ass roles Delancey did back in the 80s, including Q. Well, Q is obviously the most iconic. Vera, are you physically on screen in Identities, or did you do voice work? I will not be answering that question, Knit and Crochet Tiger. That is a watch it and find out. Although, if you've been listening to the Jumpgate podcast, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned casually on there enough about my involvement that you would know the answer. But if you haven't, I'm just getting into who, besides what's on Disney Plus, where's the best spot to watch it. Depends on where you are, Loose Horn, because I think what it's on varies by territory. If you're in the US, the Revival era back catalog is all on Max. That's series 1 through 13 and the specials. So that's Christopher Eccleston's 9th Doctor through Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor inclusive. If you want to get the classic era, you can either go to BritBox if you want it without ads, or if you're willing to put up with ads, you can go to Tubi. My mother watched a bit of Doctor Who, and she said, did you know the new Doctor is gay? She insisted it didn't bother her, but she seemed really insistent on talking about it. Okay. I mean, I don't know what to do with that. 255 AD. I don't know your mom, so I'm not going to judge her. A lot of people of older generations who don't have a lot of experience with the queer community can be a little bit awkward about it, but like that doesn't mean they aren't well-meaning. Welcome to the new media, same as the old media, but with a wider distribution network. In some ways, yeah. Is there a name for that when cishet boomers and cis queer representation doesn't bother them, but they feel the need to note it? It doesn't bother me. It's just surprising. Yes, the name for that is not having gay friends. That's a joke, obviously, but kind of not. It's one of those sort of joking, sort of not. I've not been following identities that closely just because I've been overwhelmed lately. And boy, was I surprised when I saw John Delancey in the trailer. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know Jesse is real thrilled about how all this has turned out. Twilord! Thank you very much for the super chat. You ever try really intense vanilla ice cream? Like proper don't you dare use me as a code word for bland ever again, vanilla. Probably. Probably like at some of the restaurants I've been to that like make their own ice cream. It's been a while just because vanilla, even intense vanilla, is not really my go-to, generally speaking. But yeah, probably at some point. Correction, it's not having openly gay friends. Okay, yes, valid correction, Jen. Appreciate it. Yeah, that is a fair point. Found my ad blocker blocks Tubi ads if I watch in my browser. I was kind of shocked. Yeah, I just put up with Tubi. I mean, mostly I use Tubi to watch Babylon 5, which means they're sticking the ads when there would have been the show was designed around there being ad breaks, and they just slot the ads in the same place. Watching something like Doctor Who is a little weirder because like it wasn't designed to have ad breaks, but you know. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, it's something in the chat I know neither how to pronounce that name nor what they're getting at with that comment, question. There's no question mark, but it's, I don't know. Moving on. My mother doesn't have queer friends now, but in university, one of her friends was a guy who used to walk around the university parks in a dress that takes guts in 82. Yeah, I'd say probably for the most part. Now that you're nearing the end of Babylon 5, which characters have your opinions changed on the most, either positively or negatively? At present, the big positive shift was Franklin. I did not like Franklin at all in the first season. I found him to be a self-righteous jackass. I did not care for him in the least. I now mostly like him. Now, granted, part of that is I'm pretty sure very unique to me headcanon that I have crafted for Franklin. But he's grown on me. I think at present, the one who I had the opinion drop the sharpest was Marcus. I really hate how they ended his character. Like, I really hate it. Although right now where things are going, Lanier and Lita aren't looking too good to be wrapping up on a good note, so the mantis. Jesse tormented me for so long about that freaking mantis. It's kind of funny that it became a thing for a while. John Delancey could read a restaurant menu, make it sound sinister. If he wanted to, yeah, he definitely could. Twilord, back again. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. I tried ice cream like that over a decade ago, and ever since, vanilla ice cream just tastes of lies and disappointment. I love phrases like that. I'll rewatch these as like comfort background viewing. If anybody here ever follows Jello Apocalypse, he did a couple of charity streams just getting every different kind of lemonade he could find and trying them all on stream. And there's edited down versions of that on his YouTube channel. And I remember one of them, he took a sip of, this is nothing. You've lied to me. This tastes like when someone takes a coin on the end of a string and puts it into a coin slot and then yanks it out after having stolen my man's gumball. It is the taste of chicanery. I don't know. I like exaggerations like that. I find them very fun. I won't spoil my question anymore, but I will say my respect for the author went up a lot for including that character, given he's UK based. Yeah, everything going on in the UK right now is. Anyway, Josh. Excuse me, Joshua Finzi. Thank you for the super chat. Really enjoyed the latest episode of Doctor Who. Like you said, a good standard episode, and I'm a sucker for the dramatic / romantic tones shown throughout. Yeah, I do think a lot of that is down to taste. I still think that they botched the ending in one of two ways. Like, if it's gonna pick up on it again, and he is in fact going to be shown to be looking for Rogue, then they still botched it in the episode by giving no indication of that and having it land really weird. But you know, as someone who doesn't normally really like the romantic angles, it was still a fun episode. I had a good time. I'd be happy with the character coming back. Like, it's one of those things where me not really buying into the romantic element doesn't mean that I'd never want him back. It just means that I kind of have to be around him longer so that it doesn't feel sped through. Maybe I'll buy it down the line. That can sometimes work. You know, maybe that's just getting on board with something by Stockholm Syndrome, but, you know, sometimes it works. I've had mac and cheese flavored ice cream, and I strangely like it. I've heard of that. I've never had. I think the weirdest ice cream I've had was garlic ice cream, which I can't actually judge because I had it at a garlic restaurant where literally everything was garlic. The appetizer was just roasted garlic that was spread across bread. Every entree was loaded with garlic. And the dessert was garlic ice cream. And it tasted very light and refreshing, but I think that's because my palate had been soaked in garlic. So by comparison, the garlic ice cream was like that's a nice little cleanser. That one's nice and subtle. Whereas I think if I tried it just flat out, I probably wouldn't feel the same way. Fun fact, you may have noticed Tom Baker had a cut on his lip during the early Key to Time stories. That was the result of getting bitten trying to give a dog a sausage. Yeah, I did know about that, Rowan. It's most prominent in Pirate Planet. Rose managed to build a dimension canon without the Doctor. Rose managed to get the people in another dimension to pool their resources and scientific minds and make her a dimension canon. I don't feel it's accurate to say that she built a dimension canon. Now, if you want to point out oddness of that, Amy made her own sonic screwdriver in The Girl Who Waited. That is a little bit credulity stretching, that part. Like, it doesn't wreck the episode for me. I actually really like that episode, but excuse me. Did the garlic restaurant give out complimentary mouthwash at the end? No, I've actually been to a couple of garlic restaurants. The really intense one, like garlic everything, and like they were not kidding around. That was in San Francisco. That was a restaurant called the Stinking Rose. That's discrimination against vampires. Garlic doesn't work on vampires. That's wolfsbane you're thinking. That and holy water. But and mirrors. If there's a lot of mirrors, vampires won't want to come. Yeah, I know it's garlic in some of the lore. I'm just having fun with you. Don't take it too seriously. The other one I went to was actually in London. It was called Garlic and Shots. Was just the name of the restaurant, and it was not as like we're going to serve nothing but garlic and like do it as an elevated thing, which was what the Stinking Rose was. Garlic and Shots was a lot more like, you know, we'll put a lot of garlic powder in with the chips and you know, load up whatever protein on your entree with garlic. But the other feature of that, the second part of that, because it was Garlic and Shots, you sat down and the menu that you're looking at, it was actually your placemat. and it was just a list of 100 different kinds of shots, of alcoholic shots. Which is better, chicanery, tomfoolery, or shenanigans? I tend to prefer chicanery myself. I'll have to try to wedge in a trip to Salt and Straw. Ooh. You have my attention, Carolyn. Sinking rose or stinking? Stinking. Stinking. Twilord. Isn't there garlic soda? Oh, probably. Oh, I see we have shenanigans fans in the chat today. Everyone doing their shout outs for shenanigans over tomfoolery or chicanery. Anyone here played or have played Tunic? Started a couple weeks ago. It's really clever. Tells you nothing initially. You have to work out where to go and how things work. I haven't played it, Molly. I've got it on my Steam wish list, so I'll probably get around to it eventually, if and when it ever has a really good sale. But no, I have not gotten to that one yet. On tomorrow's stream, I'm going to try out The Artful Escape, because I think I finally fixed my OBS Twitch setup and have gotten that working. When I was a kid, I remember Doctor Who chocolate bars with the third Doctor on the wrapper. Haha. Interesting. If you were a Regency era wrong'un, would you rather be a cad or a bounder? I'm not sure what the definition of a bounder is. I know what a cad is. I'm not sure I can answer that, Angus, because I'm not familiar with that second term. Shenanigans just remind me of Super Troopers now. Super Troopers or Teen Titans Go. I don't know if it was part of the regular show, but definitely there was part of the Teen Titans Go to the movies where, there was a whole big shenanigans scene. So, quit my job recently because they kept dead naming me. I'm sorry about that, Geki. That really sucks. I'm sorry it got to that point. I'm English, so I'll go with playing silly buggers or arsing around. I think the summer sale is going to need to double check that, though. I feel like I've gotten notifications of stuff on sale, but I haven't. I have gotten enough new stuff that I am trying to still like minimize my spending. What have I got on my wish list that's on sale right now? Planet of Lana, Cookie Cutter. I think Tunic is on sale, but it's only 10% off, which is not a lot. And it is one of the higher priced indies out there. So that I'm probably going to wait on that for a little bit. There aren't too many games that and this isn't because I don't think they're worth it, but just broadly speaking, just because of my own budgeting, there aren't too many games that I'll pay a full price of 20 and up for, like, right off the bat. I'll generally set them aside and wait for sales. There's a few exceptions. I did spring for Hades 2 as soon as it came out. I'll probably get Silk Song as soon as that comes out. And then there might have been one or two others, but those were kind of the two main ones, at least recently. Like, even the stuff that's on the cheaper and, like, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon is only $10, but I'm still like, it might go on sale. But, this is the thing. The reason I have to try and watch my spending is because, like, I can do a pretty good job of not overspending, but what's hard for me is once I start spending money, it's like, oh, well, I'll get that. Well, if I'm already getting that, and then I've ended up spending way more money than I intend to. So I have a hard time finding a middle balance between buying nothing and spending too much. Trying to do something in the middle is not my strong suit. Let's see here. Tara, back again. Chicanery feels more refined, but shenanigans feels more fun. I could go with that. I could go with that as a definition. Coyote Azul, good to see you. Which superhero do you think has the most interesting rogues gallery? I mean, it's kind of hard to beat Batman's rogues gallery. Like, I'd say Spider-Man is kind of secondary, but as much fun as I have with Spider-Man's rogue gallery, it is ultimately a handful of ones with a real personal connection with Peter, and then it's a bunch of bank robbers with gimmicks. And honestly, a lot of them, if we're being completely sincere, you could swap their powers around, and then you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Like, characterization, is there really all that much of a difference between characters like Shocker and heck, even Vulture? I mean, what's Vulture's distinguishing feature besides the wings? He's old. But like, And I like those characters, don't get me wrong, but like putting that up against Spider-Man's villains, many of whom actually work as a mirror to a specific aspect of Spider-Man, Scarecrow, being a dark reflection of his use of scare tactics, Joker being absolute chaos to Batman's desire to seek order, Two-Face being a twisting of the notion of justice, which Batman's trying to enact. Like, it's hard. It's hard to do better. Twilord, and then, thank you for the reminder, Carolyn, I do have to check out the Discord after this. Apparently, Ireland recently got access to the Doctor Who specials. Tempted to watch them purely so I can understand you, Jesse and Pup. I think the specials are good. I'm glad they finally sorted that out. Took them long enough. My take is that a cat is more specifically ungentlemanly in romantic relationships, and bounder is more of a rounder term of behaving badly. I mean, I think I would probably be the kind of person that people from the outside looking in might call a cad, simply for lack of a better term. But, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would call me a cad even now. But only because, they don't understand the dynamics of all consensually involved parties. Anyways, I gotta hop over to the Discord, and all right, let me get through these quick as I can. The historical novel I'm reading has a note at the start where the author explains that archaeology shows there were female Vikings, black people, and open homosexuality in early medieval Ireland. He's not including the stuff to be woke. Do you think a note like that is a good idea, or do you think if people want to complain at him for having diversity in his books, the facts being on his side won't stop them? I think both of those are true. I think it is true that people are going to who are inclined to complain about that are going to do it no matter what. But I think it's still a good idea to include it, because what that does is it removes the mask. Because by putting that in there, it basically means as much as these people are going to complain, it makes it clear that they don't get to have their usual fallback of, it's not historically accurate. Oh, it is actually. And then if they continue to complain about it, I wonder why that is. Racism and bigotry is why that is. I think just dropping in a note to remove the most common mask on criticism that people tend to level, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's probably a good thing to just throw in there. The other day we were talking about method actors who don't drop character no matter what. How do you feel about the stuff Sacha Baron Cohen used to do, where he basically go around harassing people, but we're supposed to think it's okay because he's playing a funny character? Sacha Baron Cohen's an asshole. And I'm not going to say I didn't laugh at Borat at the time it came out. I did. I think a lot of that, at least with my feelings at the time, he got away with it on the basis of most of these people were also jerks, and the ones who weren't that badly humiliated. But I just that entire approach, that just speaks to the core of why I hate pranks. You are laughing at somebody who did not agree to be involved in your bullshit. You know, when we on the left talk about cancel culture, we always rightly point out that celebrities who say they've been canceled typically don't lose their careers like they claim. Yep. I wonder if sometimes if what they're actually afraid of is having to feel judged, but that sounds like a pathetic way to say you're worried about, so they claim they're afraid of career loss instead. I think you're overthinking it. I think that, like most aggrieved entitlement, they're going by how it feels and not examining it beyond that. To them, these are people with power who are used to being able to say whatever they want, unimpeded and unquestioned, and knowing that they might be questioned to them feels like an attack. I think the feeling of fear or worry is probably sincerely held by many of them, but they have not bothered to examine the fact that that's nonsense. So I think you're overthinking the issue a little. When you were first trying to figure out your gender situation, did you doubt yourself? I'm transmasculine. I'm always questioning myself despite always feeling like I should have been a boy, or maybe that's my BPD at work. Did I doubt myself? Yes. My gender journey is long and meandering and not a ton of very clear milestones or signposts along the way. But from a very young age, from about 11, I started wearing, privately, but I started wearing girls' clothes. You know, I'd sneakily try on dresses or my mother's jewelry or what have you. And while I was largely comfortable with that, even though I did still keep it to myself, I wasn't ashamed, but I did sort of get that a lot of people wouldn't understand. That part of it, I didn't have any doubt. I'm like, this is a thing I like to do. Okay. What I did doubt was my own sense of transness. Like for a very long time, I just had a oversimplified and skewed view of what trans is. So for a long time, I thought, well, because I don't ever want to get bottom surgery, I can't be trans. I don't want to do the things that trans women do, which, that was me in my 20s being an oversimplistic moron. But yeah, I had my moments of doubt along the way. A lot of it did just come from not, in my case at least, from not having a proper understanding of what these things even were and understanding that there was a place for me. But yeah, I did. If you had the opportunity to do college again, would you take it? So are we talking about like going back to college now to finish it? No, absolutely not. I haven't seen your Acolyte review, but this is a related question. Is the use of the Force as a plot device overdone, not done well, or both? It seems like one can make a monastic order interesting under the right narrative. The book, I can't tell for Leibowitz, would not work otherwise, in my humble opinion. I don't know what that book is, so I have no point of reference for that, Dharma. You're kind of talking about two different things. Bring up the monastic order. That's the Jedis. I find the Jedis boring. That has nothing to do with finding the Force boring. Is the Force overused as a plot device? Not really, any more than most stories rely on a certain amount of coincidences, deus ex machina, or just good fortune. It's just in Star Wars, they call it the Force instead of just letting it be random coincidence. This is not a question, but a statement. I have and will always value the time that I have spent here chatting with everyone while I grow comfortable in my own skin. I will always be grateful for the space, for the community it provides, and I hope to keep sticking around for as long as y'all will have me. Well, we're happy to have you here. Rewinding back to Dot and Bubble, do you think the fact some people didn't get the racist undertones on first view is because the expectation was a historical episode was going to have that theme focus? Do I think that's the reason why some people didn't get it? No. I think it might be one of the reasons why people weren't looking for it early on. But honestly, I don't want to condemn anybody because, like, there were people in comments in my own in my own video that were like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't fully understand that." So I don't want to say that like you're a bad person for not getting it. It just confuses me. a bit how you get to the very end of that and not, I don't know. I'm bumping up against the thing that I say sometimes. I can only speak from the perspective I have, and I have a very difficult time understanding the perspective of not seeing it by the end. So trying to parse why that is, why people are or aren't seeing it's hard to know. I will absolutely grant that setting in the future, I think, made a lot of people far less likely to be looking for those things and weren't expecting them. Making the ending a bit more of a surprise. That's probably one of the factors that led to it blindsiding me the way it did. Haven't seen your Rogue review as of time of writing. Would you say Rogue is Jack Harkness 2.0? Do you think he'll be a recurring character? I have no call on whether or not he'll be recurring, and short answer, no. I don't think he is Jack Harkness 2.0. Does he bear a lot of similarities? Yes. I think there are enough things to make him distinct, though. Favorite Doctor outfit so far this series? I'm probably partially biased because I've got the cosplay hanging up right over there, but I still like the first one we saw. I still like the orange and the brown with the grid pattern. I agree with your opinion that 8 episodes isn't enough for a Doctor Who season. However, why do you think Black Mirror works so well with just 5 or 6 episode count? Do you think it's because they're presented more like short movies than episodes of a TV show? Yeah, because Black Mirror is an anthology. Doctor Who is episodic. Those are distinctly different ways of doing anything. An anthology is just a different beast from an episodic series, which is a different beast from a serialized series. These are different things with different needs, and they work in different ways. You said that Boom is better on second viewing, and I've heard many people say the same about Dot and Bubble. Do you agree with this opinion? If so, why did you take more issues with that with Boom? Because there's a difference between being better on a second viewing and not working on a first viewing. I think Dot and Bubble works perfectly fine. And then once you get to the end, it's worth going back and rewatching and finding all the stuff that you missed. The thing with Boom is there were things that were making my experience of watching the show lesser because, not knowing where things were going to go towards the end, my experience of the actual episode was less on the first time. That wasn't the case with Dot and Bubble. Did you notice any of Kate Herron's and Briony Redmond's writing habits from Loki appear in Rogue, or did you find their writing to be more or less in line with Russell's? Oh! That's why people kept bringing up Loki in the comments. I couldn't figure out what the hell everybody was on about. I kept seeing Loki being brought up in the comments, and nobody gave context for why. I didn't realize that they had the Loki writers do that episode. So, short answer, no. I didn't notice because I wasn't looking for them because I didn't even realize. I thought it slotted in fine. It didn't jump out at me as being out of place at all. Given that the trap in Rogue is effectively eliminates occupants from all societies in the multiverse, do you consider what happened to Rogue to be in the ballpark of the bury your gays trope? If not, would your answer change if the trap actually killed its occupants? Also, does the show's positive depiction of queer representation buffer it from that particular criticism in that scenario? Having the characters be positive in no way impacts whether or not something reads as a bury your gays trope or not. Honestly, most characters that fall under the category of bury your gays are positive depictions. So those are completely disconnected questions. They make a point of making it clear that this is not fatal. Would I still consider it bury your gays as it is presented? No. I'm not gonna die on that hill, though. I'm not gonna fight with somebody who wants to say that it is. I'm just not personally gonna call it that. If the trap was deadly, yes, it absolutely would have been. Have you seen the original Mad Max trilogy? If yes, can you remember a quick view on each? I actually have not. I have only seen bits and pieces and clips of the first three. My first Mad Max movie was Fury Road. And I really wanted to get to Furiosa, but it has already left my local theater. So I don't know when the hell I'm going to do that. Do you know anything about cricket other than from Douglas Adams? I know a little bit from The Prisoner. So those are my two main sources of information on cricket. I know there's a bowler and a batsman, and there's wickets. Moving on. If you had to move state, which would you choose? I do not have an answer for that. I really like where I am, and I don't particularly... No, I don't really have any thoughts on that. Not a question, but a follow-up. Thanks for the 6th season song recommendation. I love it. Oh, I'm glad you liked that. Okay, I am back in the main chat. Were there super chats while I was gone? Looks like there were a couple. Twilord, back again. Sorting it out would mean we got access to the current season. I legitimately feel bad for anyone here who is a fan. Oh, so they haven't fully sorted it. Well, I mean, look, you didn't hear it from me. But I've heard that if you set a VPN to a UK location, you can get access to iPlayer. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying a thing that I've heard. Happy Pride Month, and to you, Geki, to you as well. First time catching you live. I usually run into you at Galley. Oh, well, nice to see you here. Malice Bitterfolk. Ooh, that's fun to say. Whoop. Coyote Azul, back again. Thank you very much. Someone pointed out that Dick Tracy has a massive rogues gallery, but that's because most of them are dead. Yeah, the reason Dick Tracy's is so big is because they didn't come back. They died at the end of those arcs. Dick Tracy's an odd piece of media. I see we've got the Fury Road quotes going on. Witness me, blood bag! So Sebastian Stan's playing Trump in a biopic of his friendship with Roy Cohn. Yep, I saw that. I don't care. Oh, Gallifrey is Frizzle! Oh, I love that cosplay. Oh. Hi to you too. Your stuff's great. Oh. Hasn't there been some good news coming out of Florida on trans stuff? I don't know exactly what happened, but I think a judge ruled the ban on stuff was just hateful. There was something that got lifted in Florida. I don't remember what part of all the stuff that's gone on. I don't know. I can't keep up. I definitely can't keep up with Florida. Of all places. Let's see. If you had to juggle or hula hoop for the rest of your life, what would you pick? I mean, if it has to be done continuously during all waking hours, I'd probably have to learn how to hula hoop because I don't know how I'm going to be able to, just cook myself food. It would have to be a real small hoop. I don't know. No, I guess juggling. I don't like either option. Honestly, I'm hoping there will be a few bird people cosplays at Gallifrey next year. I probably do one just for one. Oh, that'll be awesome. I'm probably not going to be at next year's. I can't afford it. It's at this point, it's mostly an every other year thing for me. But yeah, oh boy, I hope some folks do that. That'll be fantastic. And also very fitting. Also very fitting, given the motivation of those villains. Now I'm thinking about Jacques the Whipper. He keeps showing up on my TikTok FYP. He's fun. Favorite Doctor catchphrases? I'm slightly biased on, as Eccleston's my favorite Doctor, but fantastic makes me feel sad. And joyous in equal measure. Honestly, slight hot take. I don't super love the Doctors having catchphrases. Like, I don't hate it. It's not bad, but And I'm not a fan of catchphrases in general, and I don't know. Like, I kind of like it better when it's things that are said, like, they pop up sporadically. Like, it's definitely been said more than once, but maybe not often enough to be considered a catchphrase. Kind of like 2 with "Oh my giddy aunt." But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a catchphrase fan. Catchphrase fan. I'm not a catchphrase fan. Never fan. I'm not as think as you drunk I am. What am I drinking? I am drinking Woodchuck Amber Cider. I bought a case of these a little bit ago that I'm slowly working my way through. Oh. Bunch of queer graphic novels I have. Always Human, Witch Boy, The Girl from the Sea, Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich, Across a Field of Starlight, Prince and the Dressmaker, Nimona. I have read 3 of those. Supreme Omega! Good to see you. I know Raimi trilogy is loved, but I have issues. Raimi Pete and MJ is different from comic Pete and MJ, especially MJ. She's more like Gwen/Liz with red hair, which is fitting given that, Raimi's preferred era is very clearly the Peter is dating Gwen era, but I think he just recognized that MJ at this point was the more iconic character, so he slotted her in regardless. You know what I was imagining with that non-binary wizard? The author showing the manuscript to his daughters, which he has, and them being like, "Dad, this is going to annoy your fans." See, in my mind, he would have gone perfect, and then sent it to the publisher. As a cis-het male Gen Xer, taken me a while to understand that gender and sexuality are spectrums, not binary, but I think it was easier for me since I'm a scientist. EM Spectrum. Cheers to science. Do you know if you're ever going to write another novel? I love Dreams of Fire. Yes, I am, but I need to finish the freaking audiobook, and then I need to finish the draft on the new one, and then I need to get it out to my structural editor. You'll have that to look forward to, Carolyn. And then I need to get it out to beta readers, and I expect I'll have to self-publish again. I probably am not going to do the illustrated aspect again. I was very happy with how that turned out with Dreams of Fire, but like that was a cool thing to do, but it was also a lot of work and a lot of money. And ultimately, the best-selling version of that book is the mass market one, which doesn't have the illustration, so not really worth it. I think my favorite Doctor catchphrase is "Would you like a jelly baby?" I do like when that one comes up. Supreme Omega. On JMS, that's J. Michael Straczynski for folks. He is not to be blamed for OMD. That's One More Day. That's a very infamous Spider-Man story. It was editorial mandate by Quesada. JMS actually wanted to keep the marriage and continuity and opposed and oppose OMD. The story on that keeps changing. I know that Casada mandated some aspects of it, but like I can't remember the most recent breakdown I saw on this because the whole thing's freaking exhausting. But I know Casada didn't mandate absolutely everything about that, and even setting aside the decision to break them up, which was stupid, was very stupid. He didn't have to go about it in the way he did. I understand he was given a bad mandate. He was told to do a story beat that was not good, but he still wrote a bad story to justify that story beat. So that does not completely get him off the hook. And I like JMS. I like a lot of his work, but the man is fully capable of writing crap. So, Twilord, back again. Thank you very much. Oh, there we go. I know most of the catchphrases by Osmosis. Osmosis. It's yeah. But what was the catchphrase of Jenna Coleman's partner doctor? I adore her work in Xenoblade. So I'm assuming you mean the 12th Doctor, Capaldi. Capaldi didn't really have a catchphrase. He just had a trademark grumpy attitude. He didn't really have one. At least I don't think he did. He still had great quotes, many of which I'm always happy to see in the wild. Don't be lasagna. I got into Slay the Spire a couple of weeks ago. I played it for 40 hours already. What am I going to do when the sequel comes out next year? Here's the thing, Kura. I have sunk... Hold on. Let me pull up my Steam library for a hot second. I have played 185 hours of Slay the Spire. I don't have a big inclination to play the sequel. Like, maybe I'll look into it a little bit, but I have a hard time buying that they're going to do enough with it to justify me shelling out for the game again. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, I get it. Like, new cards, new decks, new builds, new classes and whatnot. Like, yeah, okay, but it's basically going to be the same. Like, my gut instinct is the sequel probably could have been DLC. We'll see if I'm right. If I'm wrong, maybe I'll check it out. But it's the kind of game that, like, feels like it didn't need a sequel. It just needed a DLC pack. What did you think of them, oh my God. Seriously, I don't know why I can't talk today. What did you think of them adding Richard E. Grant's Doctor to the roster of the scan? I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, that's basically it. I mentioned it in my review, Molly. Just like, oh, nifty. Anyway. Just because I do need to rewatch The Scream of the Shallot and probably do some kind of video on it, but I don't have too much opinion aside from that. Just because I'm not a lore crafter. I'm not a theory crafter. So, One more day, inmates running the asylum. Boy, it was something. Love your earrings. Thank you. These were sent to me by a fan, which was lovely. Might just end up being more of the same thing. I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, I haven't seen too much about it that seems like it's a massive shakeup that couldn't have just been DLC. Pay attention to Robert Griffith. I'm a supporter now. I understand my daughter now. I see so much more in the world. Oh, that is wonderful. Robert. I know this is strange. I haven't posted before, but I wanted to thank you. I found you a couple years ago, and my first thought was, oh my God, what's wrong with this guy? But you taught me so much. Thank you for sticking around, Robert. I appreciate it. And I honestly, I think it says a lot that despite having that as your initial reaction, that you stuck around long enough to learn anything at all. I think that speaks well of you. So thank you very much. I wish they canonized Peter Cushing's doctor. Good luck with that one. Happy Pride. Do you plan to review the Celestial Toymaker reconstruction once that's out? Eventually? I wasn't planning to jump on it right off the bat. Once saw an interview with a bunch of writers. One of the commenters was angry about how much one got paid for 3 TV episodes. They thought it was 3 days' work. Yeah, it is time, Carolyn. You're right. But Reverend Barney, aka Daniel Jacobs, thank you very much for becoming a member and the support. I appreciate that greatly. And I do need to wrap it up for the evening. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope that you all have a great rest of the evening. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of Pride. Not just sticking around. You're now my favorite Whovian. You've passed up Ellie Littlechild. Thank you, Robert. Twilord, you're sneaking in there at the last minute. Thank you. So I can be sure Kura the Chibi Crystal Kitty catches this fun trivia. Can you please say... hold on. Let me get the pronunciation. She played Princess I can talk. She played Princess Malia Antique. There we go. Oh, I hope that does the trick. Anyways, I gotta wrap it up. Thank you all for joining me for this. I will be on Twitch tomorrow from 10:30 to 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time. I'll be trying out The Artful Escape. Doing more of that on Friday. Also on Friday will be a new classic Doctor Who review in the Break Room of Geeks, my secondary channel. And Saturday will be a new video. It will be Doctor Who related, and the edit is being worked on right now, but it will be a great deal of fun. That'll be Saturday. So thank you all for joining me. Have a great Pride, and just remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You are the council, and I am just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. McCavity!